All right, it's going to be Shaman versus Warlock here. So StrifeCro, going back to that Shaman deck, and Shaman does pretty well here against, against Handlock. It's definitely something that I feel like is pretty draw dependent. If you get Urshocks early, and you can Urshock at the two Twilight Drakes. I mean, if you get Urshocks and you can kill those off, that's the most efficient way in the game to kill those off. It's so big. So if he draws into Urshocks here, I feel like he has a really good chance to win the game. If he does not, it gets pretty rough, or it can at least. So I mean, that's really what's going to be key for me, is just seeing if he draws Urshocks in these next couple turns. If he can, that'd be fantastic for him. Having the Hex is really a great answer to the Giant, but you don't really want to spend the Hex on one of those Twilight Drakes.
Right. So, a very crazy development that's happened now. Does he want to activate this Ancient Watcher, or does he want to activate these Twilight Drakes? And so he's got two things to be thinking about. The first one, of course, is Urshock. Does he want to invest so much into these Twilight Drakes and to have it all be squelched by a single point of mana in one card? Or does he want to get this Ancient Watcher active and start trying to push for damage? And frankly,
I think this is the safer play.
Yeah.
It may be the play that knowing both sides is the worst play, but it's this. Oh well.
Oh wow.
So there you go. So I mean, definitely the better play. And now, do you think we just see the coin golem?
Yeah, he's definitely going to coin harvest golem here. One of the things he's got to be taking into consideration is he needs to pressure his opponent's life total, because you notice he caps out at 6 mana. Argent Commander and Fire Elemental are at the top of his curve, so he wants to put his opponent basically as quickly as possible into the 15-point range to force his opponent to not be able to life tap, which you've already seen him foregoing anyway. And then he wants to look for something like Doomhammer and Rockbiter to finish the game, or even just have Flame Tongues and a bigger board presence.
Yep, for sure. Definitely makes a lot of sense here. Now, with this activation, do you think he goes, is there any chance of him just going Sunfury Protector, or do you think he goes Ironbeak Owl for sure?
I think that there's a chance he's Sunfury Protectors, but I think Ironbeak Owl is a better play. Okay. And one of the major reasons why is because he wants to start picking apart this board position, again, to counteract what we were just talking about, where StrifeCro is going to want to pressure his opponent and put them on the back foot. So he wants to avoid that situation happening.
Now, at the same time, this does put it to 3 HP. That is an easy Lightning Bolt, or the Flame Tongue is a great draw here. You can trade a Divine Shield for that. So, I mean, what is your preference here? Do you think that you should just go Lightning Bolt and then trade the 1/1 into the 2/1, keep everything alive? Or do you think you drop the Flame Tongue, you do the Lightning Bolt, and then you go face with one damage into the other? How do you think is the best possible way to play this? Obviously, you're going to say the Urshock. You'd be foolish to drop an Urshock,
Right.
But there's a couple different ways you can do it. You could obviously just Lightning Bolt, ignore the Owl, go face. You can do Flame Tongue, trade, save the Lightning Bolt. What's your preference here?
I think I want to go with Lightning Bolt here, and there's two reasons why. The first one is activating these totems can add up in the end game.
Oh, wow.
So if when he rolls his totem here, this is really easy. Earthshock on that. He puts a point here. So really what he's looking at is that he gets a little bit of extra value from just his overall game plan. He sacrifices damage if he wants to play the Flame Tongue totem this turn anyway.
Wow. That's so good for a StrifeCro.
Oh, gosh.
Dropping the Drake, and it's going to get Urshocked immediately, and we'll see. It would be kind of,
this Lightning Bolt coming back to bite him a little bit, though, because he can't play this Unbound Elemental this turn. That's pretty critical.
Still not the end of the world. He still could totem up, or he could drop the Flame Tongue if he wants to be aggressive. Obviously, you have to be a little bit nervous about Hellfires and stuff if you are going to overdevelop your board like that. Either way, it's going to be Urshock. There's no question about that. And I mean, you theoretically could hex it, but I think hexing it would be a big mistake.
You know what? I actually don't think it's an easy Urshock here.
Really?
I think a lot of times he can play
just
this Flame Tongue
it?
and go forward from there, but there's a lot of merit to be doing it this way because you can potentially answer a Giant with this Flame Tongue totem instead. You don't even necessarily have to use a hex.
I just feel there's nothing that you can answer better with the Urshock.
Right, but what I'm looking at is he can use his healing totem and his golem to just take it out and then have the Urshock for the next Twilight Drake should it appear. But these Twilight Drakes aren't very big because of the hand size. So in this position, instead, you're going to see the Flame Tongue take it out here, and now he's going to have a board presence. This Unbound Elemental's coming on, and now Gnimsh has lost both of his Twilight Drakes at this point. His board is developed well enough to be pressuring his opponent. He's got Hex for the next Giant that comes into play. Thankfully, he's got a Sunwalker that can maybe absorb one of these hexes.
He also has his Argent for next turn, which theoretically, even if he dropped, okay, so a big damage minion, like an 8/8 or whatever, the Argent with the Flame Tongue plus a totem can kill that off. So he's actually going to decide to keep his healing totem alive, which I was going to comment on. I actually like that a lot because you can start to get some crazy value if the lower HP minions do come out. A healing stream totem can actually end up being crazy effective. And in this situation, I don't think it's going to really matter, but still, this is an easy trade. You put the healing stream into the shield, and then you can do the Argent Commander into that, and you're trading a healing stream basically for that.
A caveat as well, he also shuts off his opponent's potential mortal coils with this play. So this is one of those spots where he loses some damage from it, but this is his knowledge of these matchups coming into play. He shut off 2 of his opponent's potential draws here. So I honestly can say I wouldn't have made that play. And looking at it now, like I'm learning something from StrifeCro here. Thanks, bro. But it's like that play can literally change the outcome of this game because Gnimsh has been foregoing life tapping the entire time to get to this point of the game. So it's like it's crazy how much foresight he has in making a play like that simply to shut off his opponent's potential draws.
Now, with the placement of this, he obviously wants to keep that damage on the Stoneclaw. That's what he's considering now. Does he want the extra damage there, or does he want to put the damage on the Stoneclaw just in case he gets attacked into or something like that? Either way, I don't think it's going to impact his game massively, but he's certainly thinking about that positioning quite a lot here. He's going to drop it. He's going to keep that damage on his Unbound Elemental. That's going to get removed, 4 damage to the face, and now you have to start getting a little bit nervous. You're at 18 HP. You do draw that Sunwalker, which is not so shabby. Now, it's just got to be the Sunwalker again, but still, it's not the best situation. Unfortunate now that he actually placed it where he did, because had he put it on the other side, he could trade into the shield. But still, not a bad trade here with just the Fire Ellie on the shield and then put the 6/2 into it.
Yeah, I think he still has the option to Hex as well, but I think developing.
I think you have to save the Hex.
I think developing the Fire Elemental is a better plan. So not only does it continue to keep pressure on the board, but it uses up this fragile 6/2, which this is going to die to Hellfire.
Yeah.
It's going to die to Shadow Flames. He doesn't know that Gnimsh isn't running Hellfire, but it's something that's certainly in his mind. Well, he's mousing over the Lightning Storm. That's really interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Fire Ellie, though. I mean, that's the straightforward play. You can Lightning Storm because if you Lightning Storm now, you can still obviously get the Fire Ellie out next turn, even with the Overload.
Yep.
But I think the Fire Ellie is the safer play.
Yeah, developing I think is more important.
Yeah. So he's going to be able to trade this out, be able to get some face damage in as well here if he wants to. Now, the question is, do you put 2 in or do you just let him sit? I mean, I don't think he's going to put 6 in. But do you put 2 in?
I think you put the full 6 in because you have this Hex.
Well,
but he's going to continue to play it safe. Yeah. He doesn't see a reason to put this 6 in because he knows that he can push through anyway.
If you put the 4 in, he taps, he gets a free Molten Giant.
Right. But the Hex is coming out. It's important that the Molten Giant ends up for free mana, but the thing he's thinking about is he doesn't feel the need to try to kill his opponent next turn. That's really what his majority thought is when coming into a position like this, is he doesn't feel the need to deal that 4 extra damage.
Now, at the same time, he may just go for the Molten Giant taunt anyway, and then the Hex is going to be pretty devastating because as a follow-up, what does he really have in his hand? Nothing. I mean, he has the Leroy Power Overwhelming, so he has the makings of that burst combo, but the burst combo stops at 20 damage. That's the maximum there, unless you already have something down on the board. And we're looking at a StrifeCro sitting pretty at 30 HP.
Yeah, and a lot of damage staring on the board too. Again, you're at 14. I think you have to consider using this Soulfire as well on the Unbound Elemental, but he's got 2 key cards in his hand.
Yeah, if he loses the Leroy, then how do you kill him? So it's tough.
Even playing the Molten Giant is like not a fantastic play here because it's still going to just die to this taunt in the Fire Elemental, even if he doesn't have a Hex. You clear this board this way, but you're not like thrilled to do it this way.
If you Soulfire, okay.
What do you got to say?
So you think Soulfiring that is better than Soulfiring Flame Tongue?
That is an interesting
That's
point.
something that's, I kind of feel like the Flame Tongue is more important.
It could be more important, but he may be having sort of forethought as well, where he's like, if this Unbound Elemental ends up getting out of control, how do I deal with that?
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, imagine, he draws another Argent here. The Argent plus the Totem, you don't even have to use the Hex.
Right.
So things like that are something you kind of have to worry about, I think. Personally, I value the Flame Tongue higher than the Unbound Elemental. Of course, there's a lot to consider. It's looking like it is just going to be the Hex, of course. I mean, he's got a Hex, yes.
Yeah, he's got to Hex this. I don't think there's any question about it. The follow-up here is, and he's just going 6 to the face.
And I mean, there's not another Molten Giant in his hand, so it's like, this is.
He's down to 2 cards, so he doesn't fear
unless he taps something amazing here, he has to tap.
Yep.
Let's see what he gets, and that's not going to do it. So that's got to be game. Unless I'm completely missing something. I mean, he can Earth Ring Farseer up to 9 HP. He can kill the Stoneclaw, but that still doesn't matter because even without additional damage, there's still 14 damage sitting on the board. He's got nothing, and that is going to be that. StrifeCro going to take another one, going to go up 2-1 here on the back of some very nice Shaman play. And honestly, Gnimsh didn't really have the best draws here, and the Earthshock coming into play, like I told you, like we talked about before, the Earthshock is huge. I mean, you can Leroy it up, but still, this doesn't save it.
Yeah, the biggest thing I think coming into this was, oh, look at this though.
Okay, that's actually really clever. Maybe there's some way he could get out. Does he have another taunt?
I don't think there's any way he gets out of this match. Like, I don't think it matters what he draws. So it's like StrifeCro coming into this, he took his time, he really slowed down. He made a deliberate non-attack with the 4-power minion, which ended up hedging his bets against the potential for 2 Molten Giants to come down in one turn. But the Earthshock really shining here, and part of the influence that happened in this game was that because StrifeCro has such an aggressive tendency to attack the board, he's having to forego these hero powers